So, hello everyone, piercenation here. Welcome to a new deck profile that I have for the new format of Blue Eyes, I guess you can call it, because that's what this is. It's a little bit different. It's a lot different, actually. It's nothing like my prior deck profiles because there's a new way to use Blue Eyes in a faster meta way than it was in the original versions of the deck I've made. This is the tuners and the special summoning method that I was using, and that is using the new structure decks that you can buy off the shelf, which are your new Albaz structure decks, which include the Albaz and branded together, which make Blue Eyes a very, very strong force, and you don't need those other cards that I was using in order to do it. So, without further ado, let me show you exactly what that looks like for now. It'll be adjusted in the future. Of course, I need the Masquerade dragon that goes with the branded because it's very, very powerful. So, again, let's go ahead and get into it, and I'll explain everything as we go along. So just give me a minute and I'll get the cards laid out and we'll get right into the deck profile as fast as we can. There will be no combos because I don't have time for it. But if I can get back to my conditions, we will do a deck profile or deck combo for this thing. And I think you guys will like it. And I'll explain how the main combo works. Just give me a minute and we'll get into it. Alright, we are back, and as we do, we're going to start off with the monster that this whole deck is based off of, and this is a different style for me. We will only run 2 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Yes, this is branded, so we have to cut down Blue Eyes. That way we don't try to double fist it on a lot of plays. With that, you're only going to run 2 alternative. You can cut that down to 1. You really only need 1, but I use 2 just in case if I get into it. But your alternatives can be cut at any point in time. We run 1 Jet Dragon. Jet Dragon is a very, very good Blue Eyes card. I cut 1 of them down in order to make room. Like I said, any of those could be cut down. You could run 2 jets, 2 alternative, whatever you want to do there. I run 1 Chaos Max. I still run Chaos Max. He can be cut at any time. He does not have to be in this deck. If I find a card that's more on winning chance side, I will go to it instead of Max. But I do have Max for that for now. I'm running 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Darkness Metal Dragon is a very good card, and with this deck having plenty of dragons, it makes it pretty damn easy to get into Darkness Metal and then start popping off in the graveyard. Since this is branded, you're only going to be running 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz. This is a weird one. If the card is normal or special summon, you can discard 1 card. Fusion summon monsters from your field and your opponent's field. Using materials on the material list of the fusion monsters that you are fusing. You cannot use your own materials from your own field, hand, graveyard, or banishment. You must use 1 of yours and 1 of your opponents. So it's basically super poly. Just without the badass effect, unless if you get the branded continuous spell on, which is fantastic. We're going to run 2 Albion. The Shroud of Dragon. It gets your Albaz straight to your hand pretty fast, and if you send Albaz from hand to graveyard due to its effect, you can actually special summon this card. And then you can pop off from there because their effects are quite devious. Or if you send it from deck to grave, you can place Albion on the bottom of the deck, and then you can draw a card, which is great card advantage. I do like Albion, that's why I'm running 2 of it. I was originally running 1. We're going to be running 2 Dogmatica, the Knighted. The Knighted is a very good card. Basically, if your opponent has a monster out from the extra deck, you can special summon this card for free. And if you control another Dogmatica card, you can negate the effects of 1 card on the field, which is neat. So I like it for that. And the last monster that we are running in this deck, yes, we're not running a lot of them, is Chaos Lavender. Chaos Lavender Dragon is very, very good. It has 2 effects depending on what you use for it. If you use only light, you can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense mode. If you do only dark, you can shuffle 1 random card from your opponent's hand into the deck. If you go both light and dark, you can destroy up to 2 cards on the field, which is basically what I try to do every time. It's a smart method there. Now we're going to get into spells and traps. And for spells, we are going to be running not 1, not 2, but 3 branded fusion. So branded fusion, I'm going to have to read one of these. Well, this here. Okay, it says, fusion summon 1 fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck using 2 monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. The turn you activate this card, you can only activate 1 branded fusion per turn. So you can only use 1 branded fusion per turn, which is fine because you don't need to use any more than that. And also, locking you into fusions is not a bad idea. I actually love the idea of being locked in because of this. Branded in white. So, we're going to use branded in white, and allow me to explain you what it does. It's another fusion one. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material, including a dragon monster. You can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material if you use Fallen of Albaz as fusion material from your hand, field, or by banishing itself from the graveyard. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there to activate the effect of Fallen of Albaz this turn, you can set this card. So basically, if you use it with Fallen of Albaz, since it was used for the effect of an Albaz card, you can basically just reset it for free, which is fantastic. So allow me to explain you why we use branded in white as a 3. I'm going to turn this around for you. So branded in white, I'm running it as 3. It actually replaces Ultimate Fusion. So basically, it says it doesn't specify, because the card says fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from the hand, field as material, including dragon monster. You can banish them from the graveyard also, and basically you can use Blue Eyes White Dragon and Fallen of Albaz in order to get this fusion off in the right direction, and then you can get into your Blue Eyes Tyrant or your Blue Eyes alternative Ultimate Dragon, which is fantastic there. Okay, so with that, I run 2 copies of Branded Lost. So with all your different fusions that you do in this deck, by using Branded Lost, which is a continuous spell, you can basically, your opponent can't respond. It says the activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that supposed fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. And if you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add 1 Fallen of Albaz or 1 monster that mentions it from deck to hand, which is great to have. So I don't run those any more than a 2. I feel like if you run it as 3, you could go negative. So I don't. So, yeah. I'm just trying to make sure I got those in order there. And I run, currently, I might use them as 2, but I use 1 Branded Bond. So basically, Branded Bond here. Special summon 1 of your Fallen of Albaz that is banished in your hand or in your graveyard during the end phase. If this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there to the effect of Fallen of Albaz this turn, you can set this card. You can only use each of Branded Bonds You can only use each effective branded bond once per turn, which it's not really that bad because you can use them both in the same turn, which is great. It doesn't have any, real big drawbacks to it, but that being what it is, it's not that bad. So, the thing that we're still running 2 Melodies Awakenings. That's to get your Jet Dragon, your Blue Eyes Chaos Max, your Blue Eyes and or Blue Eyes alternative to your hand as fast as you can. It's really, really good to do that off of that way. 1 Chaos form. That's just for Chaos Max again. It might be cut, I don't know. 1 Called by the Grave. Obviously, if you're running this deck, you're going to need Called by the Grave. Because if you use any of those fusions, especially branded fusion, you're going to get ashed big time. So, it's always good to have that for that. I use 2 Judgment of the Branded. So basically, with Judgment of the Branded, you can target 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster you control. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls with equal or higher attack than that monster during the end phase. If this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there to the effect of Fall of Albaz, you can reset the card, basically. So, you only use it once per turn. That way. So, Judgment of Branded, I find it to be very, very good, especially if you're in late game and you draw into that with a bunch of fusions on, which is great. As the meta goes, Dimensional Barrier can be a bitch. So, Dimensional Barrier covers everything but link. So, if you're facing an all link deck, this deck is going to have trouble with decks like Altergeist to an extent. Altergeist is going to be able to pop off subsequently, but once you get past Protocol, Altergeist is basically going to be dead unless if they draw into some Songstrikes, which is not very often. Me being an Altergeist player, so Dimensional Barrier is very, very good. It can lock out everything else to where if you use Judgment of the Branded, you knock everything out. They try to get back in the game, use Dimensional Barrier, and you shut it out. Even if a fusion monsters, you'll negate your own effects, yes. But with Dimensional Barrier, you'll lock your opponent out to where they can't get into anything bigger than what you got. So very good with Dimensional Barrier. So we're going to run 3 Songstrike. Songstrike is fantastic. And now I've got a spot to put it in this deck because I've redone the entire Blue Eyes deck, and this is what it is. So now you can run 3 Songstrikes in Blue Eyes, which is great. With your Dimensional Barrier and all your branded shit, you can now run 3 Infinite Impermanence because we don't run True Light anymore. So it's fantastic to use these Impermanences for that. And along with that, we're running 2 Dogmatic Punishments, which is fantastic because some of these extra deck cards, like we have Intes in this Blue Eyes deck now, where you send Intes, you can pop 2 cards, and also you can use 1 to pop a card, send a Albaz card to the graveyard, and then the effect goes off because it was sent to the graveyard. So, very good with Dogmatic Punishment. This deck, I haven't used it, played against anybody yet, but for my test runs with it, it is actually very, very powerful. And the only times I brick is when I draw my... Really brick is when I get like Infinite Impermanence, Dogmatic Punishment, and some Psalms in there. That's about it. So we're going to start this off with the Exes cards, and it's very, very limited. So you got your number 62 Galaxy Eyes, like in my other deck profiles. Number 38 Hope Harbinger, which is great for getting rid of spells. Your Numeron Dragon, which is great for FDKs, and your Jagoublion to help with your FDK. So very good with that. For fusions, let's start here. That's the best way to do it. So we're going to run Elder Intensitas. That is for your Dogmatica target. Lad, the Ash Dragon. This is a good card. It'll probably be cut for the Masquerade Dragon. Brigated Glory Dragon, which is very, very good. And Albion the Branded Dragon, which I want to add 2 of these. I do have 2. I'm going to add 2 and probably dropping one of these 2. Whichever one I feel like I could not use in the game to up my chances of winning. Whichever one has a better protection effect as well. So they both pretty much have the same effect. But having 2 of these is monumental because it fuses it off when it's summoned. So very, very, very good to have, you know, Albion the Branded Dragon in there. Only see with the Light Dragon, it makes it easy because you can use your Fallen of Albaz and Blue Eyes if you use Branded Fusion from the go. As long as you use, you know, Fallen of Albaz, you're good. And if you do it that way and you pull into your Branded in White, you can get into your Tyrant Dragon, and then you can go on and on and on. You can fuse a bunch of crap. So we're going to use 2 Lebellion. Lebellion, the Searing Dragon, come in these structure decks and is very, very good. So allow me to explain Lebellion. Okay, so you need a Dark Monster in Fallen of Albaz. Almost every single card, except for the Blue Eyes cards, are Dark Monsters, which is fantastic. If this card is Fusion Summoned, you can discard 1 card, Fusion Summon 1 level 8 or lower Fusion Monster from your extra deck, except Lebellion, the Searing Dragon, which it can be stupid just to get into another one. It says, so you can Fusion Summon by shuffling materials into the deck from monsters on your field, graveyard, or banished cards, which is very, very good. Because you can use one of the, I think it's the Branded in White, banish them from the graveyard, and you can use Lebellion to use those banished cards and send them back into the deck, which is very, very good. So when you do that, for the rest of this turn, this card cannot attack. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. So, Lebellion is great. I like Lebellion, I really do. When I seen him used against me, I was stunned because I didn't know how to respond to it. And I run 2 Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Going with Branded, this is a very, very good broken card. Because with Fallen of Albaz, you can use your opponent's stuff. So you can get Fallen of Albaz, Fusion, Synchro, Exes, or Link monster that your opponent controls, fuse into your Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Which kinda sucks for your opponent, if I have to be honest. You have to negate Fallen of Albaz as soon as he comes out. So, very good card here. And also, it says, once per turn, quick effect, you can send 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material to the graveyard. Banish 1 monster on the field. Also, this card can activate the effect next turn. If this fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase, which is very good. So I do like the Mirror Jade Dragon on that. And for my last 3 I use in my extra deck, this should be obvious. Number 1, I use Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon. Basically, I use Ultimate Dragon. When I tested it, I never got into this. So, it could be cut, to be honest. And I can add more branded stuff, or, you know, add some super polys to this. It's all up in arms. I can do basically what I want with this Blue Eyes deck. I like it being like this because it gives more life to it and more higher win rates. And for the last two, you're going to be running 2 copies of Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Because of branded and white, you can get into these very easily. And also you can get into Mirror Jade by sending one of these graveyard, and then you can bring it back, vice versa, using the effects of monsters like the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, which is very neat. So with that, you can get into some nifty little combos. I don't have a lot of time, but I do have a little bit, so I'll go ahead and test hand this for you. Basically show you what it can do. I'll just give it a real quick shuffle. And it's gonna have to be shuffled pretty good because they're not in the best order right now, since I just did a deck profile on them. So but we'll try to get it best as we possibly can. But this branded Blue Eyes, Albaz Blue Eyes, whatever you want to call it. I actually looked up a deck profile that people were doing for the branded Blue Eyes, or they call it Albaz Blue Eyes, because they don't use Despy in it, and I plan on using Albaz in this. I don't know about using Comedy. Comedy was one of those ones that I was just like, it doesn't really need to be in it. But basically, some of those other ones, you could use it in. I could see it working. But like Albaz, like that's one you kind of need in this deck. Okay, so the test hand is going to be alternative, branded, and white, lost. This is not a brick. Okay, this is good. This is what we want. So here's what happens. So you're going to start off with Branded Fusion. And you're going to send one of Albaz. And I think you can send, yeah. Right, I think you can send Blue Eyes. Using 2 monsters from hand deck as fusion material. Fuse summon 1 fusion monster mentioned Albaz. Yeah, you could do that. And dark. 1 light.
You really think he's gonna do it?
Yeah, you can do it backwards. That's fine. So you're gonna send your Fallen Albaz and Blue Eyes White Dragon. So it just has to be 1 light and Albaz. So, and if you do it like that, you can get into Albaz. And then I'll go to Grave. Okay, this card has an effect. You can fuse someone level 8 or lower fusion monster from the extra deck except for Albaz by banishing the materials. So you can use Branded and Lost to keep you from being negated, which is probably how I should have led this off. So basically, you can do this in 1 of 2 ways. Let's see here, because I'm trying to get into the other one, which you need a dark for. So basically, because your Branded and Lost will actually help you when you fusion summon here. So I think what you can do, Branded White, because both of them are going to banish, aren't they?
I don't think it is, but I absolutely would have been correct. It's a color I would have never traded.
Handfield of Graveyard.
It may not be.
Yeah, it's going to banish, and I think this one will too.
I love the red.
yeah, either way you can banish the materials. So where we already used branded, it's gonna lock us in the fusion, which is fine because we got 12 fusion cards. So basically we're just gonna activate All Beyond, send Fallen, and send Blue Eyes to get into Blue Eyes Tyrant. Okay. So now you're in the Tyrant. Now the effect of this branded loss is going to activate. And it says if you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So, you can now add a monster that basically talks about it.
Are you saying you look that way too? Look, it's a Christmas tree. Yeah, it's a Christmas tree.
So basically you can add All Beyond.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is new, so I'm trying to make sure I do this right. Let's see. On the field in the graveyard, All Beyond the Shrouded is Fallen of Albaz, which is great. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to use this now. Let's see. Because you can send a branded spiller trap. Let's see. It's supposed to summon All Beyond the Shrouded, but I don't think it has another effect. So I'm going to go ahead and activate All Beyond from hand. And we're going to try to send a card so that I can get Dipshit back. I really need him in the graveyard. Don't I think. God damn it. I don't remember how to do it. There's one of them that shuffles them back in the deck. I think it's not you, is it? No. There's one of these branded cards that do that. It's branded in white, don't. I was wanting to say it was branded fusion. I think it's a monster, actually. Yes, it is. It's Rebellion. So, I have to get into Rebellion. Damn. That's tough. Can I use them from hand? Hand or field as material. And then I can banish them from the graveyard also. So basically I can use so I use to get All Beyond. I can use All Beyond's effect to send dumbass to the graveyard. Place All Beyond on the bottom and draw a card. Hopefully I get a good one. And I didn't. That's great. Because I think I need a dark. And I can do it from field, but I'm trying not to get rid of Yeah, it has to be a dark. God damn it. Hand, field, or graveyard. Fuck. And I've only got him in there. So, we'll go ahead and use branded in white. Banish him, and we'll use Rebellion. So, Rebellion will go to the graveyard, which will cause this effect to go off. And we'll get into Rebellion, the Searing Dragon. So basically, you discard one card, and you can fusion summon one of late or fusion monster from your extra deck, except Rebellion. By shuffling the materials in. So we can get into the Mirror Jade Ice Blade Dragon by shuffling Albion and falling Albaz back into the deck. This is probably the weirdest way I've ever done this. And his effect goes off when he's graveyard. It's cards in the graveyard because it's sent to his turn. You can have one branded spell or trap. So I use branded in white. I use branded fusion. I'm actually going to add branded bond. And we'll shuffle Albion back in. Yes, I know this is taking a little bit, but like I said, I don't know the deck entirely yet. I'm learning. So basically, let's see. Then I use the effect of. No, I didn't use the effect of Albaz. So use branded special summon one banish fallen Albaz, which there you go. See, because banishing Blue Eyes really doesn't do anything because we can always get it back. So
Did you see what little Larry got?
rid of that bond. Yeah, you can set most of those due to that effect. This branded lost actually help get this combo off, and then basically you can discard one card, which is going to be your Blue Eyes alternative. You can fusion summon using Albaz and monster they have. More than likely, it is going to be a light or dark. But let's say it's a level a monster with 2500 more attack, so we're getting into Tikala. Or Tikalad. Yes, dragon, which is fantastic. So now you set up 4 fusions in one turn. So, this is kind of the possibilities you can get into with this deck. This probably wouldn't be Tikala, depending on what the Masquerade Dragon is. But for me, it probably will be. I'm gonna go ahead and look up Masquerade Dragon real quick. See, are they using that in the actual deck profile that people are using for the branded Blue Eyes? They're using one Albion, which I'm using 2. And they're using 2 Fallen Albaz, so they're good there. They're running Ash Blossom and 273 Advanced Branded Blue Eyes. Nah. No way, man. Like, you gotta have more than that.
Maybe I tried to watch this before.
You have to have more than that. So you need Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon, which is going to be one that, you know, I want to be getting into. Okay, apparently it's not wanting to work for me here. Can I get back to shop TCG player, please? But he was like, I think Albaz might be busted. A little bit. Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon. Okay. So with this guy, one letter dark, yeah. But you need a Despia monster in order to do that, which currently I don't have any Despias in this deck, so we'll have to figure that out. If I do run Despias, I will use it because of its overwhelming effect. So, and I think Masquerade is a great card, so with that being said, let's activate one more. Send your two cards and get into, I think, dark. Right, yeah. Another blue belly on. There you go. There's your loaded board. Turn 2. So, like I said, the combos on it are a little weird, and you get full Albaz on one of them. And deck to hand. So, you know, branded is a good way to go with Blue Eyes because they're all level 8 or higher, which is great because the two Blue Eyes cards that I'm using is Tyrant and not the alternative, which is a like 11 or 12. I guess 12. But with your Albaz, you can fusion into these guys very quickly with very little time. A Masquerade Dragon, you basically, I think you can use a Despia monster, which I think they're all dark. Despia and Yu-Gi-Oh. Dark. Okay, yeah, they're all dark, which is fantastic because you can use Albaz and one of the dark monsters to get into these guys, and then you can start popping them off that way, and then you can quickly get into Blue Eyes and everything like that. Like I said, I did plan on putting, you know, your Adlim in it, your Dramature, at least one, and, you know, 3 Albaz. I feel like if you're not running through Albaz, you're building your Despia decks wrong. And there's some Despian cards fusion cards that I want to put in here as well, in case if something goes wrong. But this is all the time I have for today. I am Pierce Nation, and I hope to see you in the next video. Pierce Nation out.